Thundarr, I'm E-Lightning, and this is Sports Storm.
Today we will be doing our NBA Mock Draft 6.0. So let's get right into it with the first selection. Who do you believe the Philadelphia 76ers will select?
It is Ben Simmons. It's obvious he's the best player in the draft. You pick him number 1 overall.
Yeah, and I'm also going to have him take Ben Simmons. You're going to have to build your franchise around someone, and I think Simmons is the better player to do it other than Brandon Ingram. Who do you have going number 2 to the Lakers?
Brandon Ingram, it's obvious. Everybody knows it. He's going to give them wing scoring, perfect big three in a couple years with Julius Randle and D'Angelo Russell, and that's exactly what you need.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious they're going to take one of the two, Simmons or Ingram, whichever one falls to them at number 2. So, Ingram is the pick here. Who do you have at number 3, the Boston Celtics selecting?
I have the Boston Celtics selecting Buddy Hield. You talked about them needing a superstar and a wing scorer, and he fills both of those needs. So even if you get a superstar, he can be a wing scorer, a kick-out partner for Isaiah Thomas, which is exactly what they were missing in these playoffs.
Yeah. Most of my recent mock drafts, I have had the Boston Celtics selecting Dragan Bender. But the one thing is, I don't think the Celtics are in a position right now to risk on a high-risk, high-reward player in Dragan Bender. I think they want to for sure bet with the outside scoring of Buddy Hield. Who do you have at number 4, the Phoenix Suns selecting?
I have the Phoenix Suns selecting Dragan Bender. Obviously, they need to take a high-risk, high-reward here. And I think the Phoenix Suns, and everybody has Phoenix taking him. It makes sense. They need a good big man. He could be the future of that, especially with Kristaps actually not being a bust. I feel like a lot of people are going to be wanting European power forwards.
Yeah, I'm also going to have them taking Dragan Bender. Their decision gets more difficult if Bender does go 3 to the Celtics, but in this case, he doesn't, and Dragan Bender falls right into their laps at number 4. Who do you have at number 5, the Minnesota Rising Timberwolves selecting?
I think putting Jamal Murray. They get a really good outside scorer combo guard right now, and it really completes their lineup because then you get the perimeter shooting with the driving with a beast inside of Karl Anthony Towns, the driving and scoring of Andrew Wiggins, and the perfect ball movement of Ricky Rubio. It really completes the lineup if you get a good scorer.
Yeah, at number 5, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves selecting Marquise Chris. He's really been rising in recent mock drafts, mostly because as we get closer to the draft, upside tends to get higher on people's boards, and Marquise Chris comes with tons of upside with his superior athleticism and the knockdown jumper, which I think if you're Minnesota, you definitely have to buy on the upside, as their team is entirely upside right now. Who do you have at number 6, the New Orleans Pelicans selecting?
I was letting Chris Dunn, a true point guard, is really gonna be the thing that makes this team a lot better. Drew Holiday is more comfortable in a shooting guard, and really Anthony Davis. If you get a good, especially with Drew Holiday being a little bit of perimeter, Eric Gordon also perimeter scorer, Tyreke Evans being a driver, you really get somebody that can distribute the ball around all those scorers.
Yeah, at number 6, I have New Orleans also selecting Chris Dunn. They need a pick-and-roll partner for Anthony Davis, and Drew Holiday, as you said, is more comfortable in that shooting guard role. I think it's a perfect fit if Chris Dunn can fall to New Orleans at number 6. Who do you have at number 7, the Denver Nuggets selecting?
I've been taking Jaylen Brown here. I think they could develop him into a very good 3-and-D wing with the rest of their lineup. I think their lineup should be completely composed because they have almost no cap space. I think they should trade away Kenneth Faried and have their lineup completely composed with the players draft and young players because they're not going anywhere and they need to develop with Emmanuel Mudiay at the head of it, and Jaylen Brown can be another piece in that.
I've been taking dual scoring guard Jamal Murray. It reminds me a lot of Jeff Hornacek. It can really provide scoring from outside and inside, and in recent workouts with different teams, he would knock down 79 threes out of 100, so definitely he's going to give you that scoring threat which Denver needs. Who do you have at number 8, the Sacramento Kings selecting?
The Sacramento Kings selecting Marquise Chris. We've talked about it a lot. They can get a good, really stretch 4, really high potential power forward in here. They already have great centers. With the all-around of DeMarcus Cousins as true star in this league and the defensive prowess of Willie Cauley-Stein, then you get a power forward to slot in there as a very good scorer, rebounder. That really makes your front court very intimidating.
Yeah, at number 8, I have the Sacramento Kings selecting Domantas Sabonis out of Gonzaga. Had a great year at Gonzaga. Was able to show flashes of NBA potential with his rebounding and inside scoring, and showed a little bit of outside shooting, not a ton, but hopefully that he can develop that in Sacramento. Who do you have at number 9, the Toronto Raptors selecting?
I like Henry Ellenson. Now, Jonas Valanciunas really came into his own in this postseason, put up good numbers, and that gives him the good offensive center. Now they get Henry Ellenson to slot in at the power forward. Now you may lose Bismack Biyombo, but as I said, Jonas Valanciunas I think can come in and fill the center role. Henry Ellenson gives you another good scoring threat and a little bit of defense. Plus he's really young, and you can continue to be really good in the East with him.
At number 9, I have the Toronto Raptors selecting Jakob Poeltl, center out of Utah. Has really shown great NBA. Well, he's really shown that he's going to succeed in the NBA with his inside scoring and defense. And with the loss of Bismack Biyombo, they're going to need another center. And in addition to center, he can play a little bit of power forward with almost like a 2-center lineup with him and Valanciunas. I think that'll fit perfectly for Toronto. Who do you have at number 10? The Milwaukee Bucks selecting.
So I obviously think Greg Monroe is not going to work here. I think they will move him, and even if they don't, they still need I think they need a big man, and they get that here in Domantas Sabonis, a really good inside scorer, somebody else to help lift the load off of Giannis Antetokounmpo, along with Chris Middleton filling that outside role. I feel like they need to focus inside here.
Number 10, I have the Milwaukee Bucks selecting Jaylen Brown because he still is on the board, and like we said in previous videos, Giannis Antetokounmpo moving to point guard fills a role at the wing, and I think if Jaylen Brown's available, you definitely have to take him. Who do you have at number 11? The Orlando Magic selecting.
I think Orlando Magic selecting Jakob Poeltl. Now Vucevic is an all-offensive center, and you really have no good backup centers, and you get a really good defensive player down there. I think you can just lock up that paint and allow your younger guards to continue to develop.
Yeah. For Orlando, I think they need to go the route of taking the best player possible. And right now, in the current mock draft, I have Denzel Valentine going there. Can score from outside, can score from inside, can rebound, can pass, and is a solid defender. So definitely, I think you need to get players not just on potential, but players that are going to improve the team right now. And that player is Denzel Valentine. Who do you have at number 12? The Utah Jazz selecting.
I have the Utah Jazz selecting Malik Beasley. I've said it in some previous videos that the Jazz really lack an explosive wing and scorer, and Malik Beasley fills that role perfectly. He can drive and dunk on you, or maybe he can give you a little bit of that deep scoring, but I think Alec Burks can handle that. And really, if you add his explosiveness adds another element to the offense and makes them all the more dangerous.
Yeah, number 12, I have the Utah Jazz selecting point guard Wade Baldwin IV out of Vanderbilt. He can shoot from outside and he has a huge wingspan. And the Jazz don't really have an answer right now at point guard. We're not really sure what Dante Exum is going to do, and they got Shelvin Mack and Trey Burke. None of those players are going to be able to facilitate the offense, and I think Wade Baldwin will be able to do that. Who do you have at number 13? The Phoenix Suns selecting.
I have the Phoenix Suns selecting Denzel Valentine. He can shoot if you need to, but I don't think he's going to need to do that here. I think that with some of the load, and I think he can be their all-around player, we help lead your second unit in a couple years. And I think that really desperately helps them. So after your Bledsoe and your Knight come off, you can really have another player to help facilitate and rebound and do a little bit of scoring.
Number 13, I have the Phoenix Suns selecting Furkan Korkmaz. Who knows, he might stay in Turkey this next season, but I think with all the picks they have in this draft, they're going to need to have one draft and stash guy, and I think the best one possible in this draft is Furkan Korkmaz. Provides athleticism and scoring, and will be a great addition to the team. Who do you have at number 14, the Chicago Bulls selecting?
At number 14, I have the Chicago Bulls selecting Furkan Korkmaz. Now, they really need a three-point spot-up shooter, and Furkan Korkmaz can do that. Now, obviously, you have Jimmy Butler at the shooting guard, but honestly, if you can bring in him off the bench, give you some threes, because that's really what the Bulls have been lacking for a while now, and Doug McDermott has not seemed to be the answer for that. I really feel like you got to get him.
Who do you have? At number 14, I have the Chicago Bulls selecting DeJounte Murray. He's really another player out of Washington that's been rising in latest mock draft because of his potential. Really, his main question going into the NBA draft process was, can he shoot? Because he only shot about 40% from the field at Washington with 16 points and 6 assists. But in recent workouts, he's shown that he's been able to he's developed his outside game, and he's definitely been rising up draft boards. And another position of need for the Chicago Bulls is a guard, as Derrick Rose isn't really a reliable option. Who do you have at number 15, the Denver Nuggets selecting?
I have the Denver Nuggets selecting Deontay Davis. Now, I think they're going to trade Kenneth Faried, and obviously, like I said earlier with the Jaylen Brown, they're going to need to basically put this lineup of all the young players and draft talent that they have, and obviously you fill the power forward, and now you have a good. Now you can continue have Emmanuel Mudiay lead that young backcourt. You have good wings in Danilo Gallinari and Jaylen Brown, and then you get a power forward that you can take the proper time. See, Deontay Davis has some of the best potential in this draft, and the Denver Nuggets have all the time in their rebuild to help develop him properly into the force that he could be.
Yeah, I also have him taking a 4 in Henry Ellenson. Some mock drafts have him going higher, but due to the rise of Marquise Chris, I have him falling all the way down to 15. But Denver would love to have Henry Ellenson fall to them, can develop into that stretch 4. Reminds me of a Markieff Morris. Who do you have at number 16, the Boston Celtics selecting?
I have him taking Skull Labissiere, and I really feel like, well, they wouldn't risk on a Dragan Bender that early when Buddy Hield is available. I really feel like later in the draft they have so many picks they could take a chance on Skull Labissiere. Obviously, he has all the physical tools and talent to become a dominant player. However, he hasn't capitalized on that. But I think if anybody can do it, it's Brad Stevens over there in Boston. I mean, nobody thought much of Drake Crowder when he came over there, but look who he is now. So I feel like Brad Stevens is the perfect coach to help get Skull Labissiere to where everybody thinks he can be.
Yeah, I also have Boston taking a high upside big man in Deontay Davis out of Michigan State. Really didn't showcase much, only about 8 points, 5 rebounds at Michigan State, but did show his defensive prowess, getting about 2 blocks per game. So I definitely think the Boston Celtics need a rim protector, and Deontay Davis will be able to offer that, as they don't get Dragan Bender earlier in the draft. Who do you have at number 17, the Memphis Grizzlies selecting?
Other Memphis Grizzlies taking Demetrius Jackson. I think you need to prepare for Mike Conley to go, and even if he doesn't, you're going to need a good point guard there for the future. And I honestly feel like Demetrius Jackson is the best point guard on the board right now, and he goes to here to help maybe fill Mike Conley's void.
Oh yeah, at number 17, I have the Memphis Grizzlies selecting Florida State guard Malik Beasley. Showcased athleticism, he can really drive, get to the rim, and has some defensive ability to really further progress throughout his career. And really what the Memphis Grizzlies need right now is a wing scorer, and Malik Beasley offers that. Who do you have at number 18, the Detroit Pistons selecting?
I've been taking Tyler Ulis. Now somebody say they need a shooter more than a backup point guard. I feel like Tyler Ulis, well, he's been slipping a lot. I still feel like he could be a good backup point guard for Stan Van Gundy, and he offers a little bit of shooting. Now he may be a little bit undersized, but I feel like you need to get a point guard who can shoot, and I feel like right now I'd take Tyler Ulis over Wade Baldwin in terms of how they fit into Stan Van Gundy's system.
Yeah, at number 18, I have the Detroit Pistons selecting Malachi Richardson. I do think they desperately need outside shooting, and I think they will be able to pick up a backup point guard in free agency. I don't think they really want to rely on a rookie as their backup point guard. So I think they take Malachi Richardson, offer some outside shooting. Although Jody Meeks is coming back, really having one player being your go-to shooter isn't good enough. You need multiple, and Malachi Richardson coming out of Syracuse is the pick here at number 18. Who do you have at number 19, the Denver Nuggets selecting?
Denver Nuggets selecting DeJounte Murray. He can fit perfectly as a shooter into that young backcourt. Emmanuel Mudiay can dish to him, and he can develop into a very. And if then you put him out there, then you can develop Jaylen Brown's range. Then you have a very scary scoring threat out there.
Yeah, at number 19, I have Denver taking Timothy Luau, guard out of France. Very athletic, can shoot the 3-and-D wing. Really what Denver needs, as they also earlier in the draft got Jamal Murray to score. So really, they're just focusing a lot on scoring in this draft. Who do you have at number 20, the Indianapolis Pacers selecting?
I'm selecting Wade Baldwin. Now, you see George Hill, I don't think is getting it done, really. And Wade Baldwin come in there, develop for a few years, and then finally come in and be that starting point guard, hopefully alongside PG, unless they trade him.
Yeah, at number 20, I also have Indiana taking a point guard, and Demetrius Jackson out of Notre Dame has shown he can score. Not the most reliable three-point scorer, but he's definitely going to be able to really guide that bench into actually dominating the second quarter. Who do you have at number 21, the Atlanta Hawks selecting?
I'm taking Taurean Prince. Now, they still have never recovered, really, last season. They didn't recover from the loss of Damari Carroll, and really they need a wing. Gustavo Cephalosha isn't going to be getting it done for you, and Taurean Prince is the best wing on the board.
Well, I have him taking Scala Bissier, center out of Kentucky, because he still is on the board, and I definitely think you have to prepare for Al Horford leaving, and even if he doesn't, Al Horford, he doesn't have a lot left in his prime, and, well, he still has a good amount of years left, but you still need to start developing a new player, and I think that would be Scala Bissier here. Who do you have at number 22, this Charlotte Hornets selecting?
Chiek Diallo, I think Cody Zeller's time is up. They need another high potential big man that we talked about. I feel like Charlotte with Kemba Walker leading it and hopefully getting back Batum, they could be dangerous.
Number 22, I have Charlotte selecting Thon Maker out of Sudan. You know, he didn't play college at all, but he dominated his high school as a postgraduate, so he did have 1 year. That's why he's allowed in the draft. And I think if, as Charlotte, you need to go on upside, and I think Thonmaker has more upside than Chiek Diallo at this moment. Who do you have at number 23, the Boston Celtics selecting?
I've been taking Malachi Richardson. Obviously here, getting Buddy Hield earlier, they get a very good player who could develop into a very good spot-up player.
Yeah, at number 23, I have Boston taking DeAndre Bembry out of St. Joe's. Kind of like a poor man's Jimmy Butler, if you want to say so. But he can score. He's not the best three-point shooter, but he can also rebound. So I think as Boston, you can try to develop him into the great team that they have right now. Who do you have at number 24, the Philadelphia 76ers selecting?
I'm taking DeAndre Bembry. They get a beat 'em up rebounder here. Now, while they may have, and also it gives you some scoring, I think he can be a very good second unit player for them, because I feel like he can be developed into a better than Robert Covington, basically.
Yeah. At number 24, I have the Philadelphia 76ers selecting Tyler Ulis, point guard out of Kentucky. He's going to fall down here because of his height. If he was 6'2" or 6'3", we'd be talking about him as a top 5 pick, but that's not the case. If Philly can get him here at 24, I definitely think you have to snatch him up. Who do you have at number 25, the Los Angeles Clippers selecting?
So I think they need a wing, and the best wing on the board right now is Timothy Luwawu. They get a very high potential player, and I think learning under the players that they have there, I think Doc Rivers is a very good coach that could help him excel into the high level player that he could be.
Number 25, I have the Los Angeles Clippers finally filling a positional need that they haven't filled for years in Taurean Prince at small forward. If he does fall to them at 25, they just need to thank God for that one. Probably one of the best 3-and-D wings in this draft. Reminds me a lot of Damari Carroll, and if Clippers can get him at 25, like another player that's going to fall, I think you definitely need to grab him. Who do you have at number 26, the Philadelphia 76ers selecting?
So they have a little bit of a reach here with Patrick McCaw. I think he's the best guard on the board. Now, you could go with a Khalil Felder as the best guard, but Khalil Felder is, of course, very undersized, as a lot of people think. Plus, he played at Oakland. And then, and I feel like the 76ers need guards. He's a guard.
I have 76ers selecting a draft and stash guy, Isaiah Cordonier out of France, another French 3-and-D wing. But I think as the 76ers, you have so many picks in this draft that you're going to have to take some draft and stash guys, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to take a guy like Isaiah Cordonier. Who do you have at number 27, the Toronto Raptors selecting?
So Thon Maker falls into the lap perfectly here, could help replace the departing Bismack Biyombo. He's got like a lot of defense. I think he's got a ton of potential with his 7-foot frame, long arms. He's a physical specimen. Now if Toronto can polish him up, he could develop into a very good player.
Yeah, Toronto, I have him kind of taking as a safety net in Patrick McCaw. Not saying he's going to be like DeRozan, but just in case DeRozan leaves, you have a player to really develop and possibly develop into the star that DeRozan was. Probably very unlikely, but you need to have a kind of an insurance just in case DeRozan does leave. Who do you have at number 28, the Phoenix Suns selecting?
I'm also taking Ben Bentil here. Now, he could become a Paul Millsap. I think he's a poor man's Paul Millsap, really, if you look at the stats. very similar. He's just a little bit worse at rebounding. However, I'd take if I'm the Phoenix Suns, if you can get him at 28, a hard-working rebounder and who also gives you a little bit of stretch capabilities, I'd easily take that.
Yeah, that's something Ben Bentel of Providence averaged about 21 and 8 at Providence. I'm kind of surprised why he's falling. I bet it's because he's kind of an undersized power forward at 6'7", 6'8", but he does provide tons of scoring and decent rebounding. And as the Sun, you definitely need to take him if he's available here at 28. Who do you have at number 29, the San Antonio Spurs selecting?
I have the Spurs selecting Ante Zuzic. Now they've had a lot of luck with selecting players draft and stash, right? Boban, right? However, and I think they can get lucky again here with Ante Zuzic. Everybody's been talking about how he could go really high into the 15 range. However, I think the Spurs would be perfect for them to pick him up. They ship him off to Europe for a couple years, then he comes back and he can be super amazing. Just what the Spurs do.
Yeah, number 29, I have the Spurs selecting big man Cheick Diallo, kind of fill that center role, because just in case Tim Duncan does leave, so then they'd have Boban and Cheick Diallo there. Cheick Diallo, shot blocking monster, didn't play a ton at Kansas, but as the combine, the combine was a few weeks ago, and he showcased his talents there, and he's kind of risen into the first round. Who do you have with the final pick in this mock draft? The Golden State Warriors selecting.
I'm thinking Karis LeVert combo guard probably, and he's been injured a lot. But the Golden State Warriors to kind of fill for Sean Livingston when he leaves or retires, they can have a player that they can develop and turn into that.
At number 30, I have the Warriors selecting Khalil Felder out of Oakland. Average astounding numbers at Oakland, a mid-major school, but I'm surprised he's only like 5'8" or 5'9". So there's two major weaknesses for Khalil Felder is his height and the fact that he played at a mid-major. But he averaged about 28 points and 9 assists, which is insane. And if Sean Livingston does leave or retire, you need a player to fill that role. I think Khalil Felder will do that perfectly. Thank you for watching this today. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.